Manziel madness has spawned the nickname Johnny Football.
Johnny Football.
Johnny Football. Johnny Football.
When I got everything that I wanted, I think I was the most empty that I've ever felt inside.
Welcome into Box Office Quarterbacks, a new era of Box Office Quarterbacks. Today, I am Jeff. That's my friend Eric. That is Gerald. Today, we are very, very excited to announce that we have scored a partnership with Rival Fantasy Sports, a new startup fantasy app that's super fun. They got fantasy bingo and all this fun stuff. You can try it for free right now if you go to joinrival.com/boxofficeqbs. Guys, I'm really excited to get our foot in the door with them and, kind of take our show to the next level.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this, man. This is something we've been working on for a while. Jeff, you stuck with the podcast since it was a website, and that shit died like 5 times. But he kept it going and helped us get to this point to where we can actually do this and help them out while they help us out as well. And we're extremely grateful and excited for this, especially some stuff that we're going to announce a little bit later in the show and on social media this week when it comes to a fantasy league where our viewers could win up to, I think, $375. So,
yeah, for first place. So there's more money on the line. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the reason you guys are here, though, is to hear us talk about Untold, Johnny Football, which just dropped on Netflix last week. The story of Johnny Manziel, just an historic draft bust. So much hype coming out of college, so much controversy behind the scenes. This is another edition of the series that kind of brought you the Manti Te'o story. Now we're talking about Johnny Football. Let's get first reactions. Eric, what did you think after you watched this documentary?
One of the first things I thought of after watching the documentary was, man, oh man, did he miss out on NIL, because it just made me think about Tebow, how much he could have made. It made me think about Cam Newton, about Reggie Bush, those USC teams. A lot of it too, like they touched on his substance abuse, and I never want to lessen how that affects people and things like that. Some of it too showed that Johnny Manziel, most of it was self-inflicted. No pun intended, and that might be a poor choice of words, but he was a partier. He was bragging about not watching tape and practice and film. So it's just like some parts of me I felt bad for him, and then some parts I felt like, why should I feel bad? So I was a little conflicted watching it too. But learning about where he came from Kerrville. My fiance wants me to shout out McCollum because there's a brief shot of McCollum High School in San Antonio that he was a defender that he was hurdling. But just seeing how good he was in high school, and then the impact that he made as a freshman. I remember the Johnny Football craze, but then going back and seeing it was just like, dang, like this was actually a big deal. And especially right when Texas A&M went to the SEC and things like that. But one of the main takeaways that I took away from this quasi documentary was that NIL would have helped him a lot.
NIL would have made that man millions, and he was already rich. But I had 2 big takeaways. One, kind of like how Eric had mentioned, like I'm a little conflicted with Johnny Manziel, like how I feel about him. I've always been like, he was so like, to me, it was always obvious, like this guy just really likes to freaking party. He is a frat boy who never left his frat. Like that's all it was, and he even says that in the episode. So like, but at the same time, it gives a lot of deeper understanding as to what was going on with him, his emotional pool, his mental health, stuff like that. So like I can see that conflicting, but I think there is one big group of winners here, and it's actually might be a little unrelated, but it's quarterbacks in general, shorter quarterbacks and quarterbacks who move around a lot outside of the pocket and in the pocket, because those are guys that get killed upon in draft day, leading up to draft day. They're too small. They're not going to do it. They're not going to fast enough, all this and that. Johnny Manziel had all the talent in the world and did not give a single shit to back it up. Never watched film. And there were still games he went out there in the NFL and completely murked defenses. Now, most of the time, him and the Browns looked absolute horrible. They've been bad. They finally started getting some roster pickup around the time he left. But around that time, they were still very bad roster-wise. And he still won 2 or 3 NFL games. That was pure talent. And I think that helps quarterbacks like him who, as long as they watch film, they might be okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what Cliff Kingsbury said in this documentary was if he really did apply himself, he had all the tools. He could have made himself great, but he chose, to party, to kind of do this weird under the table business with his friend who he called Uncle Nate, and they're the same age. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, he was just one of the kind of cautionary tales that you kind of hear of nowadays. He's kind of like the real life version of Alex Moran from Blue Mountain State, if you guys ever watch that show. But it's really interesting to see the behind the scenes stuff, especially the mental health battle that he was going through. Like, I had no idea he was bipolar. That was one of the huge revelations here. I do think that he did go to probably the worst team he could have went to in the NFL, in the Cleveland Browns. Like, they don't have the front office structure or the coaching longevity to really put someone like that in the best situation. So that was kind of my key takeaways here. Just kind of going through memorable parts of this documentary. What kind of stood out to you guys?
I mean, for me, Eric, I don't know if you don't mind me going, but it's the coaches in this, all of them, failures. Like to the T, failures. Kingsbury, all the coaches they interviewed, they especially the ones who are with him at A&M. Johnny Manziel, there was one thing at the beginning. He starts talking about Kerrville, right? Tivy and all the discipline, everything they want you to do. You are part of the team. You're here at practice. You're watching film, doing all this. The second he got a taste of freedom, and they saw he was good at football, what did the coaches do? They gave up doing their job. They gave up trying to discipline him. They gave up trying to hold him accountable. They said, "Oh, well, just let Johnny be Johnny." This is why Texas A&M is the school in the country with, I think, the second highest athletic spending budget, and continuously pumps out 8-win programs. Failures. The coaches look like failures. And like Kingsbury was smiling throughout some of this, and I'm like, man, you realize like this is making you look worse as a coach. You're saying the players have the authority. And when you're coaching college level sports like he was at A&M, you kind of need to do that. I get the NFL having less of a structured agreement. It's a workplace more. It's a little more professional. I understand that. It sucks that it was in Cleveland. But like the college level, Johnny probably could have been saved multiple times had college coaches just put their foot down. Players have their issues all the time. Tyreek Hill gets kicked out. You see this continuously in college because college is where you mess up. It's where you make mistakes, especially as an 18 to 21-year-old kid. And when I see coaches saying, "Oh, well, we just let this kid do it because he's good at football," that sounds like the pinnacle of failure to me.
And again, just for me, the one thing that just stuck out to me in this is just how much money everybody was making off of him. They redid Kyle Field. The ADs probably got new contracts. Kevin Sumlin got a new contract. Don't get me started on how Texas A&M treated Kevin Sumlin. They fired him, but Jimbo Fisher has the same record and nothing's happening. But I digress. But yeah, it's just how they were talking about the Maroon 2 jerseys that didn't have the name back in the day. Mm-hmm. It's just like, again, so many people were making so much money off this kid, and he couldn't get a taste of it. So then when he took it into his own hands, that's when everybody's like, oh, no. Even the clip of former President Mark Emmert when he was just like, when he was saying, as long as I'm NCAA president, kids won't be paid. I'm just like, what? Why? Like, what's the problem? Like, this all probably could have been avoided. Johnny's trajectory could have been changed if he was getting paid at this time. We saw that was a major sticking point in his draft stock was just what was going on with him, like you said, and Uncle Nate. He had to cut him off as a friend, and it's just like they said that they hadn't even talked, but it's just again, just how much money was made off of him really just stuck out to me. And it just shows that, like, yeah, the NCAA has been doing some shady stuff for the longest time. And I've also realized, too, that it's crazy how college sports is so big. But when you think about it, it's really regional. Like, the, 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 how people care about college sports, college football, college basketball, women's basketball. College sports is really regional, but just the amount of pull that they have, like Jeff, you're a big Denver sports fan. They have 4 professional teams. I don't think anybody cares about college football like that. I'm from Boston. 4 professional teams. The one that we had was when Boston College was good at basketball. There was that one random year in 2007 when Matt Ryan, when Boston College went to number 2. That's really like the only time, at least that I remember as a sports fan, that we cared about sports. It's really just the South, and just it's really regional. And it just shows that just his impact for that to for what he was doing to go national. So yeah, again, just the sticking point of how many people were getting paid off of this kid, and then just how many people actually care about college sports.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. The money part was so eye-opening here, especially when they said that number 2 Texas A&M jersey was sold out for months. Like, I think until like late in his freshman year is when it finally was back on the shelves. But it's crazy that all these people can make so much money off of one guy. Even like the hospitality industry was, kind of saying that he boosted tourism in College Station, because when are you going to go to College Station, Texas, other than for a Texas A&M game? Um, NIL deals are in place now. College athletes are getting rich, and I am happy that they are getting compensated finally moving forward. You got the NCAA football video game coming back next year. Finally, some compensation is going to be added into that. So I do think that things are getting better from where we were just even 8 years ago with Johnny Football. But now, we're kind of looking back and learning our lessons on, the past. Where would you guys rank this documentary when it comes to other documentaries that have come before it?
I'll give it a starter, just because it's a quick one, and it does give you a lot of good information on Johnny Manziel, and allows you to kind of see what was going on at A&M, and throughout the country on a larger scale to a little bit of an extent. So, and it's good informational. There's not really much in there that I'm like, why the hell was this put into this hour and 12-minute long documentary on Netflix? Easy to watch. And if you like college football, like it's definitely one I think you should watch, just to kind of get that sense of like what it was like for players sneaking around, making that money. I realize now that it was almost a decade ago, but like that was a decade ago, 2012. Holy hell! But like, so it's almost a history lesson for some of these kids. But I think it's a starter.
I'm a this is I'm a bench this one because this Netflix and Untold, it just see it I can compare it to a documentary that, I don't know, Lifetime puts on when they put on those when they put on like those crappy biopics, like it was an hour and 12 minutes. I mean, I understand they put it out. I mean, it did its job. It was trending on social media, but the Johnny Manziel talked about being bipolar and wanting to shoot himself, and they just moved on from it. I'm like,
They
wait,
kind of did,
what?
right?
I'm like, wait, the man just admitted that he was bipolar, and he equated it to being an alcoholic, and he wanted to kill himself. And they were just like, oh, let's move on. So I'm
That
just
was
like,
the end, right? Like they
yeah,
just
I'm
That
kind
was
of
like,
the
wait.
end. It was
they just
very
kind
So
of ended it
abrupt.
like that. They
so
just
it's
kind of
just like, okay. But yeah, it's just, it's a bench, nothing to ride home. It did its job. It was, honestly, it just felt like something that people can talk about for a couple days, and
it's very
it
fair.
worked, because now everybody's looking at Untold, and now they're waiting for they want to watch the Jake Paul one, and then they'll watch the Florida one on the Florida Gators. So it's just, it's like Lifetime. It's whatever.
Yeah, there is no meat on the bone when it comes to this documentary whatsoever. Like, you compare it even to Quarterback, which is also Netflix. You spend a full season with 3 guys and you really get to know them. So I think that they did leave a lot of stuff out of this. I would have liked it maybe if it was like 2 or 3 more episodes to really get a feel of this. But yeah, I'm going to give it a starter. If you need to kill some time during an afternoon, that this is the perfect documentary for you. If you want something more meaty, I mean, The Last Dance is 9 parts and it's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. It's not meaty at all.
Anything else you guys want to add on Untold Johnny Football?
Not on this specifically, but can we go ahead and go to our little announcement?
Let's drop our little big announcement.
Little big announcement. All right, cool. So make sure you guys are following us on all of our social media platforms: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever the hell they're called now. Any and all of them, because in the next week or so, we will be posting a link to Rival, which will allow you to join our fantasy league. This fantasy league will be playing against Jeff, Eric, me, Ryan's coming back for the league, and Ahmed too. So there's 5 spots open right now, and what it is a $50 buy-in, but you're not paying the buy-in. Rival's actually paying the buy-in for you. That means you are playing for the pot, but you're not paying for the pot. So at the end of the year, you get first place. You can win $375. Second place will be $125, I believe is what we agreed on, and the last place will be $25.
No,
I have to get
$375, $125. There we go.
$375, $125. Thank you, Jeff, for catching that for me. But we will be having that announcement and posted everywhere for all of you. So stay tuned and send us a DM or a message if you're very interested and you are one of the ones wanting to get in first, because we're expecting these 5 spots to fill up quite quickly once we do post it.
Yeah, first come, first serve. Gonna be a fun year. Gerald is the commissioner. We've anointed him the commissioner. So
there will be no kickers or defense in this league.
Yeah. So if you got complaints, take it up with him. Yeah, anyway, what do you go ahead, Eric?
Yeah, take it up with Gerald.
So. Yeah, it's all on him. We're gonna open like a complaint box just for him on our website. But yeah, this has been a fun edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. I am Jeff. That's my friend Eric. That is Gerald. Go to joinrival.com/boxofficeqps. Gerald. We'll be back with our next episode, which is going to be Blue Beetle. We'll see you guys then. Have a good rest of the week.